Hi everyone, welcome back to Through Alchemy. So today's reading is going to be titled as Your Psychic Gifts. We're going to try to understand what are your spiritual abilities and psychic gifts. We have three piles from the left to right. The first one is Amazonite. The second pile is Blue Lace Agate. The third pile is Labradorite. Pause if you need a little bit longer, pick the one which calls your name the most. Now I'm going to begin with pile number 1. Hello pile number 1, if you chose this Amazonite, this is going to be your reading. So the woman in the picture, she has a sort of beads around her neck. She has a very intense gaze, and she seems to be wearing a headgear. I wouldn't say exactly like a headgear, even though it is artistic. I think that it definitely symbolizes something. I especially can't stop noticing her hands. It's almost like she's gaining power through the beads that she's wearing, the necklace that she's wearing. I also feel like, considering that her neckline goes quite low, I feel like this is a lot about, I think that this is operating out of a heart chakra. Yeah, I feel like this is a lot about your access to your heart chakra, and I feel like with the Amazonite, again, Amazonite is a little greenish and it's also blue, so it's in between. So I think that one of your um I'm hearing best abilities is to calm your nervous system down, because Amazonite as a psychic stone, it's not exactly psychic, but if you look at it, it's almost like it helps you calm your nervous system down. So you have a great ability to connect with your own intuition when you cut out all the noise. And I feel like with the bangs that she has, it's almost like there's some sort of I already feel like you might have a few messages in pile number 2, but I feel like I'm getting the word rare. So it's almost like your discernment is amplified when you let yourself feel what you have to feel. And of course, it's often like when we sit with ourselves, we can hear what we need to do, but a lot of the times we are heavily influenced by other people's opinions. And I almost feel like your ability is also to um it's almost, I'm hearing lie detector. It's almost like it's all about your discernment. Pile number 1, I feel like um it's a lot about you being able to spot people's masks and figure out their intentions. So it's almost like you're probably really good with body language. You're probably really good with reading people's twitches, eye twitches, or like nose sniffles, or like cross legs, crossed arms, hidden humor underneath, jealousy hidden underneath humor. I'm facing a little difficulty in articulating, so I feel like you have not completely accessed these abilities, because I feel like with the issue that I'm facing with my throat chakra, it's almost giving me like you are yet to understand the grasp of how much you're blessed with. I think that you're not acquainted with it. And as I look underneath, I wouldn't say underneath, but a little lower in the picture, there is a little bit of red hue coming up, and it's almost reminding me of blood. So again, there's a lot of relation to your nervous system. And I think that in this lifetime particularly, you're blending your gifts really good with a human perspective. Like, I think that specifically with the headgear or the garland that I'm seeing above, it's almost giving me like a barbed wire. So again, you have an aura field and your energy is your energy introduces you before you do in certain places. But I also feel like um this woman, she has a really sharp gaze and she has a really chiseled jaw, just a very sharp features is what I feel over here. And for some reason this just tells me about precision. So I feel like your intuition is your best guide. Of course it is for everyone, but I feel like for you especially, it's a lot about you connecting with your heart chakra, connecting with who you are internally as a soul. And further along, it helps you map out things. And I also feel like you are someone who attracts a lot of liars, is what I'm getting. A lot of people that are deceptive, and I don't feel deceptive in the way which they um have a high degree of danger, but I feel like you attract a lot of people that lie or boast or try to manipulate you, and you're able to see through that. So I almost get a sense that you don't always come across this discerning, but you manage your way into it. So it's almost like you give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'm gonna take out a few tarot cards before we open your shuffled oracle cards, because your energy is really interesting, and I'm almost feeling like to the sea. That's a card in wisdom of oracle. So I feel like um something about you really flourishes in the dark, like, and you probably are like a night person, night owl. And I don't get a very creative streak from you. Some of you could be, but I feel like you're more into the earthly realm. You could be an earth sign or an air sign. I'm picking up on specifically Virgo and Aquarius, Capricorn as well. So let's see, what do we get? I'm already getting the image of Five of Wands and High Priestess. So this is a lot about the conflict around you or people that try to deceive you. The Empress. This is Taurus energy, beautiful card to begin with. I feel like I need to keep looking at the picture in the thumbnail. It's almost like something about like I'm hearing the word retina, so it's almost like something about your gaze. Like you really can scan people's auras. I feel like this reading is going to give you an insight into what all you can achieve through your spiritual abilities if you give it the time. It's like muscle memory, you have to keep working on it to develop your intuition. But I almost feel like you can really like understand people's thoughts, because you can study their body language. You can almost pick up on their thoughts. And if you have telepathy with someone, you connect really well with them. So this could be related to a soulmate or a twin flame that you have. You definitely have a telepathic bond, or you can create that, because telepathy doesn't exist with just divine connections. If you're that close with someone, maybe like a soul sister or something like that, like a soul family person, or you develop intimacy with someone that's really dearly to you, you can potentially develop telepathy with that person if you are connected with a person that is intuitive as well. So we have the Page of Swords. Alright, so we're just gonna take these. And then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Crowning is the Hierophant. Again, a lot of Taurus energy. So again, I feel like your gifts are very inclusive of your divine plan on earth. It's sort of like I'm hearing specifically something about this lifetime. So it's almost like you're reaping the rewards of good karma, you know. Oftentimes when we receive, it said so, okay, I wouldn't take my word on it, but um I feel like you definitely reap the rewards of good karma when you're able to access your spiritual gifts, or you've been chosen to have access to that, right? So not all, you know how they say that many are called but only a few are chosen, that's kind of a thing. So I feel like with the Empress, the Page of Swords, and the Six of Pentacles, there's an energy of you understanding through your psychic gifts who deserves your energy. And again, this is a lot about, you know, the Page of Swords is a card of stalking. So I feel like this really comes down to the fact that you can understand other people's energies far better than, you know, they think you can pick up on. And the Empress card to begin with is, you know, the Empress is above, I wouldn't say above, but she's inclusive of all the queens in the deck, you know. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's nurturing, and she's intuitive as well. So I feel like your ability is almost charged by everything through your heart chakra, because I think that, you know, if we take up the Taurus energy, which is ruled by the planet of Venus, I'm getting a lot of aphrodisiac, you know, energy. So I feel like this is a lot about you just understanding your worth and developing and working upon these gifts. And if you look at the Page of Swords over here, it's almost like the whole face is covered and there's just a sword, and through the eyes, again, there's something about the gaze over here. Even the Empress has a really piercing gaze to me, which is making me a little bit uncomfortable. So I feel like something about the way that you maybe look at other people can intimidate them, because you know, it's almost like you can see through their behaviors, like you can just see through their facade that they're showing, right? So it makes people uncomfortable because they can't reciprocate that. If somebody tries to give you back that same energy, it's like you have a way of protecting yourself. It's, you wouldn't even realize, I think, pile number one, that you create a barrier between that person and you. So it's almost, I'm hearing the word shamanic, so it's almost like this is your soul's way of protecting itself from other people accessing information or your energy, because the Six of Pentacles is in reverse. So some people might actually get obsessed with you, because I see that with the Empress, you're quite the catch is what I'm getting, like, and I think that one of the things that I pick up is that you don't even realize this as much. So I think that this is because you've been through a difficult journey or something like that, okay? I feel like this is a lot about you understanding your full worth, and somewhere around, somewhere down the line, you know, it's almost like you're still learning how to be loyal to yourself, and your body, or your higher self, I'd rather say, just knows how to protect you from, you know, certain people trying to evil eye you in a way. So even if somebody, you know, because you could be quite good looking, and if somebody is just looking at you for too long, they can definitely, they wouldn't even realize that they're sending you energy of envious, you know, characteristics or jealousy. And it's almost like your higher self just knows how to put boundaries. So there's a lot of things that just happen that you might not understand about yourself, but this is, you know, a part of your spiritual abilities that your soul just knows. And of course, you picked up a really beautiful meat suit for yourself, like, you know, your physical appearance. So that definitely adds up to it because of your aura as well. I'm getting a lot of pink color, so pink is a lot about self-love, but I'm also picking up on orange. So you're very creative, and again, you're very sexually enticing is also what I feel. So we're gonna flip your cards now. So we have the Shadow, we have Stranger Curiosity. Okay, I feel like with the Shadow and the Stranger Curiosity has number 53. um I'm gonna read about this because I want to be a little bit more accurate about this one. Number 38 could be significant for someone. You could be aged 38. So this says moving past fear of differences, curiosity, and acceptance. Now is the time to leave room for others' point of view, others' way of seeing, humility and grace. I feel like this card is a lot about, again, your way of scanning the room. It's almost like I'm hearing James Bond. Somebody might be a huge fan of that. I feel like there's something specific about the way that you show up, and if I see this picture even close, through a closer look, I feel like this is a genie, and it's got its reflection in the water. So for you, one of the things is that I feel like you're a really good shapeshifter. So it's almost like I'm getting like a really funny instance. You know how as kids, when we want to annoy someone, we start repeating what they're saying so that they just get pissed off. Like, I still do that, but like it's pretty fun, right? And you like to annoy the other person, like you keep on doing it again and again. So I feel like for you, it's almost like you can pick up on other people's personality traits really well and embody it within your own persona. So I'm getting a lot of shape shifting energy with the shadow. I feel like you're a good observer of people. So when I bind it with the stranger and curiosity, it almost gives me that you're someone like a chameleon. You're not only versatile with a lot of, I'm getting that one of your spirit guides might be a snake, because there's a lot of Kundalini energy that I see over here. You could be going through one of the main transformations in your life in this lifetime, whatever your age is, because I feel like this, that you're changing more than ever and your interest in spiritual abilities has enhanced. So I would definitely recommend you to think about the moments that you've sort of shapeshifted when you've tried to be somebody else, and it's not very perverse to your nature because it's somebody that you like to be. And I think that one of the dark side of this is that you sometimes lose sense of self. So even though this is tricky, I don't see this as being completely unauthentic to you, because you are somebody that can embody a lot of personality traits. But I see that on the downside of it, it is that if you try to include too many personality traits, or you don't give yourself the time to ground yourself back into this energy, because we again have the Taurus energy, which is a lot about earthly planes, right? So I feel like if you don't give yourself time to recognize, or what's the word, like come back to your own shape, you will get really confused. So it's almost like, again, with the Amazonite that we started off in the beginning, it's like your ability to disperse other people's opinions and personality types and the way that they lead their life, and then come back to your own self, right? So you're very good with collecting information. I feel like you have a lot of ancient wisdom as well. I'm hearing Celtic knowledge, so I definitely get a very genie vibe, like a very snake, like I'm getting a desert image. Like you could have a lot of interest, or you could be intrigued by, Egyptian eras or Mesopotamian, or you might have just, to know that you might have really liked watching movies about mummies and zombies also. So you're actually very adverse, but it's also an archetype of your soul, which is sort of like a warrior, like a fighter. So even though, you're, it's almost like a way to describe you, and your reading is very inclusive of who you look like, what you look like. So it's almost like looks can deceive. So you can come across to be really like a rose, but then you can turn out to be like a touch me not, like just just don't try to take advantage of me. You could be a like a lone wolf kind of an analogy. And I also think that you might think that people slow you down. So I think we're sort of like going away from the topic. So we have the card power. We have the hummingbird, be here now, in reverse. Okay. We have Maha, Avatar, Babaji, soul expansion. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connection between all things. All right, and we have the whale spirit, trust the great mystery. I feel like this card is really interesting with the whale spirit, trust the great mystery. It's almost like you give yourself the space to explore emotions. You might be really slow, like the only way to get you in, grasp is patience, slow and steady, because Taurus energy is really prevalent over here. And when I look at that, it almost always gives me like a snail energy, and not necessarily in a way where it's fragile or it's small, but it's in a way where it's a lot about sort of like a strategic place of events, like how you think about things and you put different pieces of puzzles. And I think that your mind works in a little bit different manner, like it's not very straight. I don't think that you think straight, like you probably have milestones, but you like to take different routes to it. So it's almost like if you need to get to the north, you're not going to go from the south to north. You're probably going to go from the south to a little bit east, and then you're going to make your way to north. So it's almost like a lot of detours is what I'm getting. Again, this is why I felt the energy of a snake over here, because it's almost like just going from wherever I feel like. So you're very good with making your own way, and I feel like one of your shadow attributes that really serves you, pile number one, is getting what you want from other people. And we're not going to talk about a moral police over here, like if that's good or not. I'm just going to place whatever it is. And we all use our shadow attributes sometimes to get things done for ourselves, right? So I feel like over here, somewhere there is an energy of sneakiness to you. It's not completely prevalent, okay? And I'm hearing from spirit, what you do with it is what you do with it. Again, there's a sense of you knowing what's good for you and what's good for other people as well, but there's also a sense of good amount of diplomacy in the way that you have to lead life on earth, right? So I think it's really difficult to earn your loyalty, because you are somebody that like I'm getting right solo kind of an energy really prevalent over here. And I also see that with the Six of Pentacles in reverse, again, this just brings down to, I feel like there's a little bit of, it's like self-centered, like serving your own purpose. And I think that one of your abilities is also how to sort of like, again, this chameleon energy. I think it's a little bit in your nature to just go along with people until and unless they get you where you need to be. So I think if we see it in a light attribute, it's almost like you are okay with people in your life, with people staying in your life for a short time. And this could apply to a few people, but on a soulful level, you understand that life is sort of like a journey. You're a train, and certain people are going to get on, certain people are going to get off when they reach their own destination, when they complete their journey. So I feel like there's an energy of you understanding and being okay with it on a soulful level. With soul expansion, your consciousness is expanding. I don't think that you're codependent at all, or I wouldn't even say that you're codependent. If you gain attachment towards someone, that's a complete different story. But over here, as a soul being, I feel like you are somebody that is very empowered within yourself. With the Archangel Metatron and clear quartz, I feel just like again, I'm hearing the word retina. So it's almost like you scan through what you're going through. Your intuition helps you scan. So it's almost like, have you noticed when you're trying to make a big decision or even a smaller decision which is prominent in your life, which can shape a little bit of direction, or it can reroute you, and you take time to think about what should I do. So it's almost like maybe people think that you're not very impulsive, but I feel like you're very calculated. So that's one of the things I see over here with the hummingbird reverse. Be here now. You're almost like you're always spaced out. You're zoned out. You're always thinking about your next moves. And I definitely see this as something that you do alone at night, because your intuition connects with you. Maybe when you just wake up, or when you're going to bed, when everything is calm around you. right? So I think this brings us to the end of your reading. I'm just going to take out one card, or maybe two, from the Moonology deck to see what advice can I give you to enhance your spiritual abilities. We have show the world the real you, expect a powerful change. See, I picked up on Aquarius. We have Aquarius. So Aquarius is in all for me. I always remember Aquarius as an humanitarian aspect, but it's also somebody like Aquariuses. They also have like this trait to them, which is like aloof. So they don't like to be in emotional drama. They will sort of like find a slick way to exit out of the situation, and this can also cause a little bit of lack of accountability. So I think that if we bind it to the reading, I feel like you need to um see, it's what about it's all about what you want to make of it, right? So if you want to actually access more of your gifts, you have to give yourself the time to embrace your spiritual nature, whether it looks scary to you or not, because I feel like you are to an extent scared of your spirituality, because you know that it would completely change the person that you are right now, considering you're already going in a transformational phase. You're already in it. And I feel like with the new moon eclipse, eclipse is almost like, it's like a shadowy aspect. And I almost feel like when I think of eclipse, it's almost like don't look straight into the eclipse with naked eyes. So I feel like again there's a little bit of lack of self-acceptance with show the world real you. I feel like you need to, I'm getting drawn to this card, stranger curiosity. So you still feel like certain parts of you are strange to you, which you don't understand, because you're connected to a little bit part of yourself that is spiritual, and a little bit part of yourself that is matrix. So it would be a good way, because the more that you dive into your spirituality, of course you'll be like straddling worlds, but this will not only help you become more powerful, because you will be able to have a good grasp over your um this physical plane. So I feel like take baby steps to this, but definitely make it a priority if you want to access more of your gifts. All right, so I'm hearing, before we conclude, to live a fuller life from spirit. Okay, so definitely, pile number one, this brings us to the end of your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please do hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm gonna see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number two, if you chose this blue lace agate. So I'm looking at the thumbnail picture. This woman, she has like bloodshot red eyes. She has a little bit of tears in her eyes as well. I feel like she's got really nice like makeup done on her. I feel like this is a lot about grooming. And if you look closer at the picture, she's holding a skull, and she's sort of like I almost feel like she's deriving energy through it. So it's a skull, so it's almost like talking to the dead, right? It's a lot about mediumship and accessing I would say metaphysical knowledge, or information from the other realms. So I feel like immediately this talks to me about like monitoring spirits. So I think that you can your abilities include a lot of witchcraft. I almost feel like you are somebody that can summon spirits. You can make spirits work for you. You can bind them to you. And I almost feel like this cry in her eyes is almost giving me like she has a little bit of smudged eyeliner underneath her eyes, like the bags. I almost feel like there's a relation to the underworld, or you can have that. What really calls me is the sort of choker that she's wearing. It's got like a hook onto it, whatever it is. I don't know the exact word for it, but it's almost looking like a bondage to me. So somewhere around the lines there's a little bit of relation to the underworld, I would definitely say. And I do sense a little bit of dark energy from you. And I necessarily don't feel like it's a bad thing, because this is just who you are at a soulful level. In a way, you're experienced, I'm getting a very advanced energy that you're okay with it, and you've also had particularly bad experiences. I feel like when I look at her ring, she has a ring on her ring finger, and I think it is the right hand. There's some sort of bondage to the underworld where it's almost like in the shadows you are always related to it. And I feel like for you this is a lot about you hearing spirits, and it's almost like when you probably do things and you don't protect yourself or you ground yourself, it's almost like they try to come into your inner circle, they try to sort of haunt you. And you might notice whenever you face some sort of maybe you trip a lot on your foot, maybe you trip a lot on your foot, you fall down quite a lot, you're a little clumsy. And this is because you have the blue lace agate. This brings calmness to the mind. So when you're it's almost like because you have such high psychic powers, I feel like it's easier for the darker forces to use your fears against you. Does that make sense to you? So you would have noticed that your fears get amplified, and that's why I feel like she's crying, because when she doesn't have a grounded sense of self, it's very easier for the darker forces to sort of retaliate upon her or use her energy against her, right? There's a lot of background music, I would say background noise, excuse me, that I'm hearing as of now. And I'm also seeing the sunset taking place in front of me. I feel like you're definitely somebody that is, half light, half dark being. And I really like that because this is a lot of, it's diverse. And I feel like not a lot of people are okay with this. I think to an extent, even you are gaining, you're becoming acquainted to this aspect of yourself. But I feel like there's a lot more that you have to discover. And I feel like you've lived a lot of lives. So it's almost like there's karma to be resolved. I feel like for few of you, I'm hearing from spirit, majority of you have certain times misused your gifts, and that is why you have that's the word I'm getting, like bondage. You have some sort of relation to the underworld. You've probably called upon spirits that have not left you. I'm hearing pet spirits. So it's almost like certain spirits have just really accepted you as their queen. So this is quite fascinating. I've never channeled that, but I feel like you have certain spirits that, almost have chosen you in a way, and they want to keep connecting with you, but then, you disperse them off. But at some point in your lifetime, you again rekindle with that part of yourself. It is a part of your karma, is also what I'm hearing. It's soul clearing. It's soul clearing is what I'm hearing. So this comes from your consciousness, very intense channeling. So we're gonna get, we're probably gonna open up your cards. So we have closing door, completion. How do we bind this spirit? Okay. We have eagle spirit. Spirit has your back. And then we have the judge. This is exactly what I've been talking about. I'm gonna read a little bit about the judge over here, because I want a little bit more intel about how is it related to your psychic gifts, because there's definitely something about karma over here with your gifts, where it's not like they're not accessible to you, but there's some sort of, I'm hearing limitation or a cause or something. There's limitation to you because you have been prone to misusing your gifts. And I feel like because your way of how we say abracadabra, and we say that words have spells in it, like words are literally casting spells. You should speak good for yourself into being. I feel like that is the power that you have. You're an eternal being, and I feel like you're a rebel as well. But it's almost like your gaze, or whenever you think of getting back at somebody, your ancestors really act upon it, because you have a good tie with the spiritual world, whether it's light beings or the darker beings. And I feel like your ancestors are more on the ferocious side with the eagle as well. They're always around you. Pile number 2, believe you me, we have 23 and 5, so we have 5 over here. I just feel like there's an energy of found it. So I feel like the channeling was just going on and on and on. And now we finally have it. So this says, I'm being guided to read it in the dark, critical, punishing, unforgiving, and wall building. This is exactly what I said, right? So one of your psychic abilities is that when you get really mad, you sort of intend to get back at the other person. And again, I mentioned this in pile number one, that I'm not trying to be a moral police. So whatever comes through, whether it's your dark or your light attributes, we're going to be inclusive of it, right? And at the end of the day, like, spirit just tells me to, put out a disclaimer that life's what you make of it, so be very careful of what you're doing with your gifts. So I feel like oh, I see this sort of stone or a gem over here, which looks exactly like the blue lace agate we have over here. Very interesting. And we have a skull over here as well. What the hell? Wow, I love this. So I think that when this brings me back to this energy is like, I spoke about how you keep going back to the underworld, or just your energy gets drawn to these darker forces. Is because a part of your spiritual team is from the darker forces, and that might be a little uncomfortable for a few of you, because I think that you're not completely embracive of your spiritual nature. You're yet to understand the degree of power that you hold within. I'm also hearing guardians, so you could have been someone before you reincarnated, or at some point, who could have been a guardian of, like the gatekeepers of like the spiritual realm and the metaphysical world. I'm getting something like that, very like a fantasy land kind of an energy. I feel like you have been someone at a high designation, and for a few reincarnations you have been here to clear out heavy karma, but you get called back into it, because you have a past, you are an old soul in a way. And I feel like you come here to clear out karmas, but then again there's certain things that you get stuck into because of your own ego. I feel like you have a very witchy demeanor to you, which is almost like how you articulate these feelings of wilderness. You like to expand yourself, but how do you actually articulate it into being, and being fair to other people as well, right? So I feel like you have misused this energy, because I think that when you start tapping into your energy, or I don't feel like you're a complete rookie. A few of you could be, but rarely for a few of you. There's an energy of you getting a little bit bitter, and that's when I think things start happening to you in the physical world, where it's like you get called upon, or you start facing warfare, or you trip. I get something specifically about you tripping, like you fall on your foot, or you keep getting like physical injuries. That's something a part of like warfare. I feel like that's a part of warfare. So you have to be very discerning and decisive if you don't want to have relations to these spirits. It's almost what I feel. So we have the coyote spirit, trust in divine detours. Very interesting. We have Archangel Michael, trusting heaven. You are safe. Angels stand close. Surrender your concerns and allow a miracle to occur. And lastly, okay, we're going to read this in a bit. So I feel like I just mentioned, there are two cards about spirit having your back. Oh, I forgot to remove pile number one stone. So that's very interesting, because I did mention in pile number one that they have a message in pile number two. So if you feel free, because I don't necessarily feel that pile number one is for you, but if you feel called to it, okay? I feel like with Archangel Michael, trusting in heaven, I feel like, again, I spoke about the dualistic nature to you, like you have ties to the angelic realm and the darker forces, and I feel like that is why you're like a medium in between, like a god, like a guardian. I'm hearing, yeah, guardian of the angels. It's almost like you're a barrier in between. You have a good grasp, like there's one foot in the dark and the one foot in the light. And it's almost like you're a very dualistic being. And you would have noticed that sometimes you go really deep into your shadow and then really deep into your light. But what makes you feel safe is to have access to both. Like, keep a good head over your shoulders, but also you want to individually you like to include your dark feminine aspects into your lighter masculine aspects in their life. So you probably lead life with a very masculine energy, but in your own little cave, in your own little room, in your own little comfort zone, you have really you have thoughts of being in the dark. You probably have thoughts of doing, I'm getting the image of somebody reading through a crystal ball, so you are pretty psychic. You probably could be a tarot reader if there's an interest of that, but there's more interest towards doing maybe like spells or like witchcraft or something like that. You probably really have, you probably use salt, or you have a fascination towards divination tools or certain things like that. So I feel like your psychic gifts are a lot related to um almost like commanding karma or revenge is what I'm hearing. Like that is one of the things. Like you're a legal branch. If somebody does you wrong, it's almost like even if you don't recognize it, it's a little contradictory to what we just spoke about. It's almost like if you don't recognize it, this is more for the rookies. I feel like, you know, if you're at a level-headed place, your ancestors get back at it. So your abilities are more about the backing that you have. You know, spirit has your back with the eagle spirit, and Archangel Michael's almost like he helps you cut cords with the past. So this could also be with your ancient life past, you know, past life karma, but this could also just be about cutting ties with people. You're really good with discerning with who's good for you and not, with the judge. Libra energy I pick up with over here with the justice. I feel like it's also about you giving other people wake up calls. So for you, I feel like you've been through, you might have been through, I'm getting 2 3 prominent spiritual awakenings in your life. You could be a little young, and I feel like if you're specifically young, I'm getting under 30, this is a lot about you learning how to exercise your gifts, because you're still not very acquainted with your power and it's not completely accessible to you. So the universe will only allow it to you when, you know, with trusting heaven, when the universe trusts you with this amount of power is what I'm going to say. I'm hearing greed. So sometimes, you know, I think that your flesh, you know, your nature as a human really contradicts with the amount of power that you have as a spirit. All right, so we have sacred ecosystem, ascended master Kutumi, and moss agate. So 333 suit is a lot about balancing your mind, body, spirit, and this is exactly what I spoke about, right? You need to prove your discernment to the universe. Pile number 2, it's as straight as I see it, that you need to prove your loyalty to the universe, that you're not going to misuse this amount of supremacy is what I'm going to say. Moss agate is a stone that really helps us sort of ground us into a healthier nature of ourselves. I feel like this is a stone which also helps you. I think this was the blue lace agate, which was like you clear out your mind, right? So your ego needs to be clear, and you need to have a really good moral compass. This is what circles back to that for you to completely have access to your spiritual gifts is what I feel. Pile number 2. So this brings us to the end of your reading. I'm just gonna pick out a advice card for you so that we can understand how you can have a greater access to your gifts. A fiery climax approaches. Look at the bigger picture, Sagittarius. Bottom of the deck, new romantic cycle begins in Libra. Libra is very prominent over here, but it's a lot about diplomacy. So I feel like with the Aries and Sagittarius, there's a lot of fire energy, and I see this fire as being about your aggression. So I feel like, of course, pile number 2, when you become vengeful, it's because you've been hurt, right? And anger is an emotion that arises when we're really hurt and we don't know how to express that, right? And anger is a very powerful emotion. Not to put a negative connotation on it, we almost feel like that when we have been violated out of some way, right? We feel like we've been not done right, if we see it from a grounded perspective. I'm not talking about the egoic anger, but somewhere there's pain in you that boosts, you know, this energy. Oh shit, we just had a leakage of the candle. This is a lot about releasing, because I'm not gonna touch it. It's probably gonna be really hot. So I feel like this is a lot about the metaphor that I'm getting, that you sometimes become really, really, like angry, and you burst out, and it sort of creates a lack of judgment within you, right? I'm kind of scared how to stop this, but okay. I feel like this is the energy that other people get from you. Like, how do we stop pile number two? And see, the wax stopped flowing itself. So it's almost like if you give it enough time to cool down, because now this is going to cool down and then I'm going to scrape it off. I feel like this was a great way for spirit ending your reading and letting us know that, if you control your anger in the moment and provide yourself with better ways to cope up with it, you can definitely have a bird's eye view with the eagle, and you won't act out the way you always have. Does that make sense? So, pile number two, this brings us to the end of your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated, and I'm going to see you guys in another one. Bye. Hello, pile number three, if you chose this Labradorite heart. So I feel like considering the picture that we have in the thumbnail, I see that this woman, she's got a very earthy energy to her. She's wearing branches and leaves, and if you notice closer, her heart is open and it has a sort of string connecting it to the branches. So it's almost like she's deriving a lot of energy through the nature. I feel like you're a powerhouse when you allow yourself to thrive in the nature. You're an earth angel, you're a very spiritual being, and I feel like you're very different to how a lot of people lead their life. I see that her hair is red and she's got a bun, and she has flowers in her hair. So, and she's the only woman who's sort of like naked. So this is a lot about being transparent. I can see her veins, and she's got a little bit of undertone of blue to her skin, right? So I feel like this is a lot about purity and self-authentic expression. I feel like the Labradorite is a psychic stone. It's a very spiritual stone, but necessarily if we look at its psychic benefits, it helps us heal the body. So I feel like this is very related to the um, opening of her chest that has a sort of a vein coming out and connecting it through the nature. So I feel like your interest could lie in botany, gardening, pottery, jewelry making, anything that relates to nature and your hands. You have a very shamanic energy to you. I feel like um I feel like it's a lot about preservation of self for you, and the more that you flourish and access um your gifts is through being in the nature. I feel like you can um I'm hearing kinetic energy. So I feel like this is a lot about your way of intention. Like, you set intentions for yourself. I'm getting a way through which it's almost like, how we manifest things, and then you just tell the universe what you really want, and the universe is like, okay, now we're going to align things according to how to give this to pile number three, or any specific person, right? And I feel like your energy lies within this feminine essence, which is like, I use my masculine energy to manifest, but I believe in the universe that they will give it to me. Something about today's setup with the shells, again, very earthy energy. I'm getting like very mythical, mermaidy vibes. So you are somebody that is from the ancient times, your soul, and I don't necessarily see it being originating in just earth. You could be from a different galaxy. I'm getting Mars. So an energy of you just being very ethereal. A lot of people might have told you that, do you belong to the culture that you've been born in, because you look very different to the way people of your culture look, or there's something very different to your aesthetics. There's something about you being on the face of earth, being authentic to it, but grounding the trends of millennial or 21st century. So I feel like there's an analogy of you really using the soil. I'm seeing somebody picking up a lot of sand, a lot of mud, wet mud, damp mud after rain, and sort of like just flourishing and making a sand castle out of it, which is quite different because people use sand for it, but you're using mud. There's something about chalks also what I'm seeing. As a child, you were probably really creative, but this is a lot about your gifts. I feel like it's just the first thing that we establish over here, pile number three, is your authenticity. That is a gift in itself. Your spiritual ability is not to get derailed by the trends, per se, that are happening these days. It's a lot about remaining true to yourself, and one of your psychic abilities is setting intention to what you want. So even no matter how people in today's life are making a living, you're probably doing the same thing that you used to do in your past lives. You're probably doing the same things to live on earth, not to struggle, is also what I'm getting. So there's a very calm energy to you, and the flame is quite prominent because it's getting a little darker outside, and I feel a sense of calm coming right now. Pile number two had a lot of background noise, and pile number one had a lot of striking sunlight. So for you, it's a lot of peace. It's like the dawn energy. I also feel like you listen to a lot of music. There's a special connection with birds and wind for you. You could be an air sign or an earth sign or a water sign. I don't see you being deprived of passion. You are a passionate person. You do everything out of passion and your heart's desire, but it's grounded. You're probably really, I don't even see you being calculative. I see you just going with your gut, doing whatever you want to do, and you're really connected with your inner child. So we're going to take a little deeper dive because I see one of your best spiritual abilities is setting intention and receiving it from the universe because you allow yourself to receive it. There's something about your looks as well. So there's a regality to your appearance, which you incarnated with, because our souls decide how we want to incarnate. And I feel like this energy is almost like it's a very sexual energy. And it's also like, serve me, but I don't see you being egotistical about it. It's almost like yes, I am open to being favored, is almost what I'm hearing. So let's see what you have. You have her golden grace, goddess Lakshmi, dendritic agate, and we have a mentor. I'm gonna take the other one. So we have the fox spirit, think on your feet. I see that with the image. I feel like looking at her because she's so beautiful. And I also feel like the Labradorite card is very, very significant. I want to read about the crystal mandala, her goddess Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi in Hindu mythology is someone, goddess of prosperity. She usually comes through a festival of Diwali where there's a lot of lights. So I see this a lot about being money, especially you are someone who believes in the universe taking care of you utterly. So your abilities is having great faith, that you are not impatient, is also what I feel. And with dendritic agate, I feel like this is a lot about you creating a peaceful environment for yourself. So it's perverse to how a lot of people live in today's generation, because they believe that they need to work hard, they need to keep doing things. But for you, it's almost like it'll come to me. It'll come to me. I don't have to do much. I'm almost feeling like this is going to pour out again, because it did pour out in pile number 2. It just literally came out. So I feel like this is a lot about you healing yourself and keeping the capability within you to let so it's almost like, how we say when a volcano erupts, it's like because it just has to. But I feel like you are somebody like who cools down. You keep it within you. You have your ways of treating yourself, and you don't necessarily just like to burst out and like emotionally dump on other people. So there's a lot of groundedness. I pick up on a lot of Venusian energy from you, which is quite refreshing. I can't lie. I really like your energy. So 38, 38. This says Divine Mother Lakshmi, who brings blessings of enlightenment, prosperity, beauty, and good fortune. A reality of divine generosity without limit. Open your heart to feel worthy of her love. That's enough for me. I just feel like this is exactly what I've been trying to say. It's like you believe, and one of your best spiritual abilities is that you believe, you set an intention, and you're a great manifester. And I don't see this being necessarily in your masculine energy. I feel like you have a good balance between your masculine and feminine. I feel like sometimes you go a little bit in the masculine, but you revert back to your origin, which is a feminine essence to you. I also see that with the fox spirit, it's a very monogamous kind of a animal spirit, and I see the owl over here. So you're very intellectual, and I see that one of your power that comes through is just setting intention. You know how we see in movies, like somebody is just putting a lot of focus on it, and the object moves. So I'm not necessarily saying that you can do that, but who knows? I feel like you can almost like just you can almost like really attract things to you. And I don't necessarily see you being like luring people in, but it's almost like people are attracted to you naturally because of your energy. It's very delicious. But I feel like with the fox spirit, it's almost like you think on your feet, so you have a level-headedness to you. You know what you're asking for, and it's not coming from like a deprived consciousness where it's like I won't receive it. You feel worthy of being favored by the universe, and it's your mentality that attracts you. So your spiritual ability is heightened emotional quotient because you know how to treat yourself. And I don't necessarily feel like taking it away from that you have had a difficult childhood or something, and you are able to connect with your inner child because you have done this a couple of lifetimes. With a mentor, this is an energy of you reparenting yourself again and again, and you have extraordinary capabilities in not only healing yourself. You're not just an empath, excuse me, you're like an alchemist. An alchemist turns lead into gold. So you are probably given with a penny, and you're going to find a way how to invest it or create money with efficiency, and you're probably going to come around with thousands of bucks. So I feel like you are somebody that's very optimistic, and one of your psychic abilities is to connect with the divine and natural forces. I feel like you're very open to the different kinds of ways that we can find to implement or create efficiency in our life. Like you derive ancient knowledge and then you implement it into practicality. You get my point? Like it's almost like calling upon your angels, the universal forces. And that's why I feel there's a heavy connection to the birds or to the wind, because it's almost giving me like you're seeking for knowledge, you're seeking for solution, and you know that you will be given a solution because you have such faith. And I feel like that is your ancient power. It just gives me an energy of solutions. Like you always have solutions for things. You might freak out for a minute or two, but you know that things will pan out eventually. Think on your feet. Your capability is divine knowledge. Pile number 3. It's your intellect that helps you through life. Okay, I'm feeling called to take a few tarot cards. Upright, reverse, upright. So we have the Tower. Upright, reverse, reverse. They have the Page of Wands. We're just going to take these two and the bottom of the deck energy, which is the Ten of Cups in reverse. I feel like this is a lot about the fact that you did not have a good childhood with the Knight of Wands. I do know this, that you're a very passionate person, because to have this amount of faith in the universe, you have to be somebody that believes in yourself, who has a spark of authenticity within, right? You can't just have this aura of authenticity without having to explore yourself. And I feel like that's where your passionate sense comes from, is by using your mental capabilities, because that's what you thrive off. Again, in the Tower, if you can notice, there's a lot of birds at the background, and this is the volcanic eruption that I spoke about, right? Things just sort of like blowing out of proportion in your life, and you still being able to be calm in there. With the Page of Wands in reverse, I feel like it's almost like you expect things to blow up in your life. You're used to it, but then you have learned how to sit in grace. And I'm not saying that it takes away from your humanly expression of freaking out or getting angry or getting sad, but it's like you bring yourself back to that place of centeredness, where it's like I'll fix it, I'll fix everything. So your independence is one of your spiritual abilities, which, it takes a certain level of enlightenment to actually come to this grasp of hold within. You get my point? So I feel like your ability is to be content, and that is commendable, right? So I feel like, I think I'm going to open more before I speak. We have stars in the sky, limitless possibilities in reverse, number 51. We have sandpiper spirit, be playful. And we have Diana, focus intention. This is exactly what I spoke about, right? Think about what you desire, set your sights high, expect the best possible outcome. One of the things I see that works in your benefit is that you're impatient. And it's contrary to what I said before, but it's almost in a way where it's impatient in your in the way that you manifest. You don't manifest it in the sense where you're like, okay, maybe I'll get a good house in maybe 10 years down the lane. You're more like, universe, please help me manifest a house in so and so months or years, because I really want to move out, or I really want to get a new house. I want to upgrade my life because I deserve it. That's all, period, point blank. So I feel like with the limitless possibilities in reverse, I spoke about this secretion from the universe, right? Just calling, seeking it out from the universe. It's almost like, and this person, this soul is sitting upon sort of like a bridge. I was about to say trunk, but I almost get a sense that this is a lot about you just calling in from the angels, like, help me, divine source. And it's really interesting that we have number 51 twice over here. So you might have a soulmate or a counterpart that I also see over here. But regardless, this talks a lot about you looking at your mirror in the, and looking at your reflection in the mirror and recognizing how you can heal yourself. So it's almost giving like, when you cut off the tail of a lizard and it grows itself back. So it's like whenever life takes a little bit away from you, you tend to come back again because your intention is so strong. And certain times people just lose their, ability to stay focused and optimistic. So this is something that is empowered from within for you, pile number 3. So I feel like your spiritual abilities, in sense of psychic abilities, have not come through as much as it did in the previous piles, because I feel like you have variety over here. But for most of you, there's a lot about a set intention and being quite rigid, or I would say just having faith. And you don't wait, but you patiently wait for it to come through. And you're not waiting in a sense where it's like, okay, it'll probably come, it'll come. You sit and you manifest it and you leave it right there and there. And then, it probably just shows up for you because you remain loyal to the guidance that the universe has given you. So I'm hearing a loyal servant of the universe, and almost in a way where, because you remain true to yourself and you do what you're required to do, you're doing such heavy healing on the face of earth. I feel like the universe definitely is very happy to reward you nevertheless, right? So pile number 3, this brings us to the end of your reading. I'm going to take out a advice card for you to understand how you can tap more into this energy or whatever advice we see for you. I'm being advised to take 3 cards. Win-win outcome is forecast. I'm feeling like taking this in reverse. We have conclusions are within reach. And what do you need to release? Bottom of the deck, you and your loved ones are safe in Cancer. I feel like if you have some situation that makes you worried about how things are going to pan out, just know that the universe has already put the pieces of the puzzle in its place. The plan is already in motion. I feel like you're manifesting something already, and you know internally that this will come through. I feel like one of your psychic abilities is also premonition, like seeing things when they're about to happen, or you just suspect it internally. You know how it used to happen in That's So Raven, like she used to see visions. So your spiritual team might connect with you through meditation, when you especially listen to songs, or you're in the nature, or in your dream state. So certain times they're delivering very important messages to you as to how things are going to pan out, because it's important for you to keep having hope, right? So that you keep moving on. So I feel like the universe has its own way to keep giving you affirmations that things are moving forward. And it's almost like if you have any sort of a little bit of mundane pessimism towards the situation, just release it, because that's what universe wants you to do, because they've already set the plan in motion. All right, pile number 3, this brings us to the end of your reading. I really do hope that you found a message that was helpful. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, hit the bell icon so you know whenever I upload next. Let me know down in the comment section how that resonated. I'm gonna see you guys in another one. Bye.